Tyler Adams, and team press officer Mike Cameraman. Just a short explanation before we start. I would like to remind you that there is simultaneous interpretation into 3 languages. Please use one of these languages for your questions. State your name, the organization you work for. Also, may I kindly ask all photographers to stop shooting after 5 minutes and then please leave the room. Okay, now we are ready to take the first question. Please, the microphone here on the first row to the gentleman. Thank you.
Kevin Baxter, LA Times. Thanks for your time, Greg and Tyler. Greg, with all the connections there seems to be between the Netherlands and the U.S., your background, Ernie, Sergino, is that an advantage or disadvantage? And also, is there any update on Christian?
I think it just is what it is, right? It's nice to have some history. It's nice to have a connection, with the country you're playing. But it's still about business. It's still about tomorrow night, us, competing in this game and trying to win the soccer game. It is nice to see, some familiar faces, get some text messages from friends back in Holland. But like I said, on tomorrow night, it's all business. Regarding Christian, we're going to see him on the training field today. What I think is it looks pretty good. But we'll have to see him today on the pitch to get confirmation of that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, the microphone to the guy next to him, and then to the lady on the third row. Then we'll have next 3 questions here. Thank you.
Stephen Goff, The Washington Post. Greg, what have you seen on the field from Tyler that's really helped organize and lead this squad through matches? And I know it's a little awkward with him sitting next to you, but anything insight you could provide on what you've seen in his development just at this tournament beyond what was there the past couple of years?
Yeah, I think that, from the whole group, you've seen this increase focus as we entered the World Cup. And from Tyler in particular, he's led not only off the field, but on the field. We always talked about his ability to win the ball back and to help us in defensive transition moments. And it's been excellent this World Cup. The other thing, our defensive shape has been really good, and he's responsible for coaching the players in front of him. I know they've given me that feedback that he's done a great job with that. So overall, really happy with the play. Offensively, he's been progressing the ball, breaking lines, the occasional diagonal, though I keep telling him he needs more of that. Hopefully he'll get that point. But, no, he's been great, and, really happy to see just this next level that he has in him. It's been nice to see.
Okay. Yes, please.
This is for both Greg and Tyler. Greg, Nancy Armour, USA Today.
Hey.
Can you look back at the recruitment of Sergino and what kind of conversations you might have had with him and how big a role he's played? And Tyler, for those of us who don't know him well, he doesn't seem real talkative with us. Can you describe what you guys know of him as teammates?
Yeah, when Sergino first came into the team, no one really talked to him too much because he was a quiet guy, just getting to know everyone. But one thing you'll find in Sergino is he's quite the character when he's comfortable. He's just an amazing human being to begin with. We know all his qualities on the field and what he brings to this team, but off the field he's quite the character, fun to be around, and he's brought so much energy into this team. He's so relaxed and calm in every situation, even before games. You try to make jokes with him and it's just like whatever. But he's a great guy to the addition to this team since he's walked into the locker room.
Yeah, and then that process that you're speaking about, it's people forget that he actually played for a U20 team in the World Cup. So he's been part of our youth programs. As he transitioned to professional, there became some attention from the Dutch side and our side. And basically, it was about me just making a connection with him, talking to him about what we thought his role could be for us, what the plans are for this group over the next 8 years, and then introducing him to his teammates and getting him into our environment, because that's where I think it really shines, being part of our group. It's a very tight-knit group. very welcoming of people coming into the group. And I think that's what ultimately helped him decide.
Thank you. It's your turn.
Hi guys, Martin Rogers, Fox Sports for both of you. Obviously, the idea that on a Saturday morning in the United States there'll be millions of people sitting on their couches watching you, cheering, supporting you. Is that just a nice thing to know and nothing more than that? Or is it something that can actually benefit you and you kind of channel it in some way?
Yeah, you absolutely channel it. The support from the U.S. has been a bit surreal. I know my dad's a teacher at school, and they were all watching during their classes the game, and supporting me. And I was getting videos from the family, all the watch parties in my town and whatnot. But it's really cool to see how much just a tournament can change the perspective on people supporting soccer. And I think that was one of our goals coming into the tournament is, the farther we go, the more support that we gather. And that's what we want. We want, the next generation and generations to come to have that support behind them. So, when we can play an attractive style and fight and represent the country in the right way, you're going to gather that support.
Yeah, and I think what Tyler touched on was, we felt a responsibility to use this World Cup to create momentum in the United States for soccer. And, that's why we want to keep going, and we want to keep doing well and make the country proud.
Thank you. Yes, please.
It's for Greg. Doug McIntyre, Fox Sports. Greg, I know you've been asked a lot about Giovanni Reina at this tournament, and I know how much you think of him as a player. What do you say to the maybe more casual fans back home that know you have this tremendous young talent, to why he hasn't played a bit more, and also how much might we see him tomorrow against the Netherlands? Thanks.
I think a lot of it comes down to timing and circumstance. If you look at how the games have unfolded, we've had the lead, then have to hold on to the lead later in games. The only game that we didn't have that scenario, we actually put him in to help get the victory. So it's just how we can use him in the most effective way. Really talented player, and we're looking for the right moment, but he can no doubt help this team.
Thank you. Next question's there.
Hello, good afternoon. Eduardo Lopez from Diario AS. Dutch football has been quite influential along the years. There has been Johan Cruyff, Rinus Michels, Guus Hiddink, and Louis van Gaal. What concepts, Coach Berhalter, have you brought from Dutch football that have shaped your coaching philosophy and your offensive tactics?
Yeah, it's almost like what concepts haven't I taken from Dutch football? I've learned so much in Holland. A great experience being there. When you're in Holland, basically after every training session, you have a debate with your players about the training session. After every game, you have a talk with people about the game. People love to discuss soccer, and you really learn a lot. Everyone has their opinion. Everyone shares their opinion, and it was a great time for me. I went to Holland just out of university, and totally unprepared for professional level soccer. And if I wasn't in Holland, I don't think I would have had that background, that building that really helped shape my ideas.
Okay, thank you. Next question's there.
Yep. Henry Bushnell from Yahoo Sports. Greg, I'm just wondering, is there any update on Josh Sargent's availability for tomorrow?
He's another one we're going to test in training, see where he's at. I think with Christian, we're hopeful. I think with him a little less so, but we'll see. I mean, he's going to test. He's going to go at this time. At this stage, it's go time. If you can push through it, you do. So I'm sure he'll have that mindset.
Thank you. Yes, please.
You sure?
Jeroen Kapteins, Telegraaf newspaper from Netherlands. A question for Mr. Berhalter. You played for several years in Holland. What are your best memories of that period of time?
Oh, man. I think it was the times that we beat Ajax. I heard that you asked Louis van Gaal about it. He didn't remember when Sparta beat Ajax. I don't think that's true. I think he remembers. Really. I mean, he being that competitive, he has to remember that game. But just, I really believe, and this may be biased, but I believe that the time that I was in Holland was a real renaissance for Dutch soccer. You had Ajax winning the Champions League. You had all the players going to play abroad, getting sold from Ajax, going to Barcelona, and just fantastic quality in the league then. So, that's some of the fond memories. In Zwolle was my first period there. I remember, just breaking into Dutch soccer in Sparta. We went to it was in the Eredivisie and playing games like the Ajax game was memorable. And then Cambuur was just a special group of guys, special environment, special town that made it really fun.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi guys, Meg Swanek here from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Questions for both of you. Tyler, you play with Brenden Aaronson at both the club and national team level. He's got a different role for both of those teams, but he's made an impact on all three of the group stage games as a substitution. Can you talk about what he brings to the game and how you think he's done this tournament? And then Greg, similarly, can you comment on Brendan's impact on the second half of each game and why he's been one of your go-to substitutions?
Yeah, I mean, what doesn't Brenden bring to the table? First off, he's an amazing guy to have in the locker room because, whether he's starting for Leeds or not playing here and his role changes a little bit, he has the same mentality every single day, and that's what makes this team so special is the spirit of the guys that aren't playing. They know that they're going to have a role to play at any specific time, and Brendan's the perfect role model for that. The quality speaks for itself. What he's done at Leeds this year has obviously been very, very special. Coming here, we play a little bit differently, and obviously, he'd probably like to have more opportunities, but he's staying patient, and, he came in against Iran, and he made an impact, and you can always count on him. He's an amazing player, and we know that he's going to be important for us moving forward.
Yeah, and the way we look at it, we're lucky to be able to bring in a player with his caliber into the game. It's a luxury to have. I've spoken to him, and I know he'd want more of a role, but he's more than willing to accept it and do what he can. And he really gives the team a boost when he comes in with his energy.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Thanks. Brian Strauss from Sports Illustrated. Greg, you've talked a lot with us over the past few months about the idea of 2 tournaments. So I'm curious, now that you're going into that second tournament, how does the preparation differ? Right? You've known about your first 3 opponents for 6 months. You've known about this opponent for 2 days. Did you scout the Group A teams over the past few months? Did you have people at the games during this tournament? How are you preparing the squad for a game, an energetic squad for a game that may take an extra 30 minutes? And have you practiced penalties?
Basically, yes to every one of those questions. I can elaborate a little bit.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. We've been watching Holland's, for the last 11 months, watching all their games. We've had multiple people at their group stage games watching live. We have the wide angle. So really doing a deep dive on them. All the information was presented to us immediately after the game against Iran. And we start preparing. And then in terms of this separate tournament, it's literally one game at a time, 1 minute at a time. In this knockout stage, anything makes the difference in the result. And you have to be patient. You also have to realize that it could be a 120-minute exercise, and you have to plan your lineups and substitutions accordingly. So we're game planning all that, and then finally have the penalty kicks, which we practiced yesterday, and we'll practice again today.
Thank you. Next 2 questions over there. Yes.
Jeff Carlisle here with ESPN.com. My question is for Tyler. How would you say that your leadership style evolved? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, you're the youngest captain at this tournament. And how is it that you're able to connect with the younger guys, the older guys, the coaching staff, all of that?
Yeah, I think just going back to when I was young, I was just very competitive. I didn't really care who I was playing against. So, I think the older guys probably hated playing against me. And to a certain extent, I ended up on their teams a lot of the time, so they didn't have to play against me. So we created good relationships. In my early professional career at New York Red Bull, I was very fortunate to have a lot of good captains to learn from. So Dax McCarty, Sasha Question, Luis Robles, all guys that, you can take different qualities from. And I just always thought to myself how I can relate to different people. So, when I'm having a conversation with Tim Ream, it's probably going to be very different than a conversation with Brenden Aaronson, who I spend a lot of time with. So, it's definitely evolved in a lot of different ways. But when I'm on the field, I'll do anything to win. So I just figure out how I can get the best out of all of my players and just relate to them in different ways.
Jeff, he's also the youngest captain for the U.S. since 1950.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, Martin Hardy from The Times, and a couple of questions for Tyler, if that's okay. First of all, how beneficial, Tyler, has it been playing in the Premier League coming into this tournament? And secondly, how much of a relief is it to talk about football today and not geopolitical issues involving the United States?
You just talked about it.
Yeah, playing in the Premier League has been very beneficial to me. I think, playing in general has been very beneficial to me. Last year came off a stint where I'd obviously had to play a lot more and get more opportunities than I did. But I've, just been able to use opportunities that I have gotten this year to, find your form, to build your confidence, to play against some of the elite players in the world, which is, a huge opportunity for me to showcase what I'm able to do. And yeah. That being said, I'm very happy to talk about football.
Thank you.
Yeah, Arila Solsada from TV2 Norway. A question for both. There's been suggestions that the setup for the World Cup should be changed in the group stages because, well, now the first place plays against the second place in a group that's already known, and sometimes that can cause teams to know before their games that it would be an easier path to the final if they end up second. So the Denmark coach has been an advocate for a change, making it a draw between the first places and the second places, like in the Champions League. What are your thoughts about that?
That's interesting. I haven't given it much thought. When you get here, you're just so focused on what you're doing. Interesting concept. Maybe after the World Cup, I'll have time to think about it and give you a real answer, a good answer. But interesting concept. You want to chip in here?
I don't care.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
Pascal Kamperman, ESPN Netherlands. Mr. Berhalter, do you still speak and understand some Dutch? Or?
Give it a try.
Give it a try. In de tijd in Zwolle reed u volgens mij heel veel samen met Arne Slot.
In your time in Zwolle, I think that you drove with Arne Slot to the training. You had your driver's license, he didn't. You must remember that. Are you still in touch with him, and did you get any information from him?
I'm not going to try to jeopardize him by asking him questions, but yeah, I talk to him all the time, and really proud of what he's doing. I knew when he was 16 years old that he was going to be a good coach, and as you mentioned, picking him up and driving him to training back and forth. We had some great conversations and started our relationship then.
Yes, please.
Grant Wall, grantwall.com. For Tyler, I assume you've seen the Dutch games here by now, or at least large parts of them. What's your analysis of this Dutch team and how they performed in the tournament?
That's his job, but yeah, for me, the first thing you see is obviously the amount of quality that they have in their team. I believe since Louis van Gaal took over, they're unbeaten. So that just goes to show the strength of their team. But I mean, from defense all the way to their attacking players, every single player plays at a high level. Going into this game, we know we're going to have to be up for the fight because, when you're playing against that much quality, yeah, you're able to limit them. But for how long? So, we know we're going to have to give it our all. But I think that's where our mentality has been really, really good against, some of the biggest opponents now. We haven't looked at it as a 90-minute game. We've taken every game minute by minute, living in the moment, staying present, and that's been the most important thing for us.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, Noah from SBS Dutch Television. Mr. Berhalter, in the Netherlands there's been a lot of criticism about the playing style now of Louis van Gaal. As someone who's played in the Netherlands, what's your opinion on that?
I'm laughing because there's always criticism in Holland, right? How many bonds coaches are there in Holland? 16 million? Right? Isn't that what they say? 17 million now? Yeah. I heard the same thing in 2014. I remember playing away in Ajax, and we'd be losing 1-0 at halftime, and Ajax would be getting whistled off the field because they only scored 1 goal. And I think, Louis van Gaal has tough enough skin. He realizes that his job is to deliver wins, and he's been doing that. They're undefeated in the group stage. And I'm sure he's focused on trying to guide his team to the final. I know he's very successful in 2014. And, he has a way to win wherever he goes. So, if I'm the Dutch public, I wouldn't worry about it too much. I'd just wait and see.
Thank you, Greg. Yes, next question there.
Ryan Toland from Goal.com. Greg, the defense is a unit that maybe didn't necessarily get the recognition that some of the other units got coming into this tournament, especially at center back. And at this tournament, you've asked them to do different things, whether that's defend in a low block or defend counters and swat things away, bunker a little bit. You've had them do all these sorts of different things. What have you seen from them that's made this possible to have only conceded once and none from open play? And looking at the Netherlands, how do you expect them to kind of attack you, and how do you expect to kind of combat going against a team with someone so informed like Cody Gakpo, players like Memphis? How do you kind of go ahead and plan for that?
Yeah, it's tough. They have talent. I can see them playing with two strikers, one behind the striker. It could be any combination of who they've been playing, but they have some real talent with Memphis Depay and Gakpo, and if Bergwijn plays, just really top-end talent. But for us, it's about the collective. Listen, the back four's done a great job, the goalkeeper's done a great job, but it's about team defending, working as a unit, moving collectively. And when we do that, we put the opponent in difficult positions where they can't access the spaces they want to access. And I think that's been what we've been good at in this tournament so far.
Okay, next question, please.
Hello to Greg and to Tyler. My name is Fernando Valeca de Barros. I come from Brazil. I'm a freelancer. I work for Estado de São Paulo. Your game against Netherlands will trend to be a very physical game, and I would like to know how you prepare the team, considering that you have a very short preparation for the World Cup, you and the other teams, and it's a game that can have extra time and penalty shots and will be disputed at 6 p.m. So how prepare a team under all these situations? Thank you.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate to have the staff that we do within U.S. Soccer. They've provided us with all the recovery tools necessary in order for us to recover as quickly as possible. That being said, yeah, you do have to prepare that it could potentially go to extra time and guys are going to be physically tired. But we have a bench that's amazing. Some guys haven't even had opportunities to play so far in this World Cup, but we've been counting on a lot of players for moments like this. So I think we're going to definitely be prepared. It's going to be a physical battle, but all the games have been, sometimes cramping sets in, sometimes fatigue sets in, but in these games, in these moments, you mentally have to be strong to battle through those moments.
Yep, I agree. I was going to ask you about the referee. Do you know the referee? He's Brazilian. Yeah? Yeah?
Okay, thank you. Next question over there.
Hi,
and then
Alex Hogan from Fox News. So Tyler, I've talked to a lot of people who've traveled here from the U.S. They've extended their flights. They're really nervous, but they're confident about this match. Can you tell me what you're talking to the team about, what conversations you're having with them, and what is the energy among the team? Are they nervous as well?
The energy is always amazing in our team. We really count on Timothy Weah and DeAndre Yedlin to keep the vibes high at all times. So they're carrying their music box around wherever we go, and the energy is good. But yeah, no, some of my family's extended their flights as well. But again, it's a game-by-game mentality for us. We have to stay laser focused on the next team at hand. We can't get too ahead of ourselves. We're not thinking about anything more than playing Holland now.
Yes, please.
Greg Romblum from AP. You mentioned 5-6 years in Holland, what concepts you didn't take away from there. What are some of the things you learned there that formed your coaching beliefs?
Just about spacing, the positional game, third man, triangles, all those things, like the details of the game. I remember, and I told people this before, I remember there was a striker, an old striker that I played with when I first got there. His name was Remco Buur. And some of you will know Remco, right? Yeah, exactly. And he would yell at me for giving him the ball with too much spin. He wanted balls that came at him straight, that I had to hit with my laces. And I wasn't good enough hitting with my laces, so I had to practice so I can play him a ball that he wanted. So it was the details like that. If you ever laid a ball off to someone and you put it to their wrong foot, they would start yelling at you. How crisp you play passes. There was a lot of details that I was missing in college that I learned in Holland. And then the general side of the game was the positional game. We saw Ajax how back then how they opened the field, stretched the field, and really made it difficult for the opponent.
Thank you, Greg. Yes, please.
Good afternoon.
I'm Tunisian. Sorry, I will ask in Arabic. Okay.
Just a second.
أولا هنيئا لكم.
First of all, we would like to congratulate you for this qualification and good luck for you. My question to Tyler and then to the trainer. Since I am Tunisian, do you think that the scenario that happened with Tunisia and France and the fact that Tunisia won over France, could this be a motivation for you in order to be able to beat the Netherlands and move forward? For the coach, I have another question. You are American, and do you think that the organization for this World Cup in Qatar could be also held in the United States, or do you think that the Americans would excel even more? Thank you.
I think you can look at a lot of the games so far in this World Cup and use them as motivation. You know, a lot of teams that might be underdogs in these games have come out on top, and that just shows that in these games it's down to the moments. How focused can you stay over 90 minutes? In our case, going into the game against Holland, it could potentially go longer than that. So just making sure that minute by minute you stay focused. But yeah, Tunisia's performance against France was unbelievable. You saw the energy that they brought, and in a lot of ways we want to replicate that tomorrow.
Regarding the World Cup, I think it's been an extraordinary World Cup for fans. The ability to watch games, 2 games in one day live is incredible. And you know, you're not going to get that in the United States. I'm confident it's going to be an amazing event in the United States. It's just going to be different. And you know, this has been a great experience, and you know, we want to keep it going.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Thank you. Sam Sasco from The Athletic. Greg, this one is for you. The other night you made a change at center back, bringing in Cameron and having Walker start on the bench. They obviously both made a big impact in the match as it played out. You mentioned after the match that one of the reasons you opted to start Cameron was his familiarity playing against teams that sit in a low block at Celtic. Holland obviously offer something a little different. What are you looking at for this game when evaluating which center backs to start?
We're looking at Holland. We're looking at what they do, how they create chances, how they press. You know, every phase of the play we're analyzing. We're looking at set pieces, you know, the whole thing. So we'll put all that together, and we'll pick someone based on that.
Okay, thank you. Last 2 questions, one here and one there.
Hi Greg, this is Eline de Zeeuw, NOS Dutch TV and Radio. Louis van Gaal just said that some of his players are having some flu symptoms, probably due to the air conditioning. How is your team? And yeah, I still hear some people coughing over here as well. How is it in your team?
We had it also. I don't know the players. You guys didn't have it, right?
I'm good.
No, seriously. This guy. But the staff, almost every staff member had it. I was the first week or 2, it was really, really bad, but now it's much better, breathing a lot better, and things are good. So for most of us, good. For the team, Tyler says they're good, so I think we're good. We're good.
Thank you. The last question here. Sorry, we don't have it.
It's for you, Greg. Ivan Skolarsep, SBI. The past 2 years for Sergino have been a bit of a whirlwind. If you remember, in 2019, he was Ajax reserves, not a highly rated prospect, but then he just goes on a crazy ride. Ajax, Barcelona, Milan now. What's impressed you the most about just how he's evolved? And an unrelated one, players get to play the biggest stars at this World Cup, and it's exciting as a coach. Now you get to match wits with Louis van Gaal. What's that like? Is that exciting for you? Like, what do you think about that opportunity to kind of match wits with a legend like him?
I'm sure after you reflect on it, but right now it's really about how do you just prepare the team to be successful in the game. You know, we're watching them, we're watching what they do, we have a good understanding of how they play, we know how we want to play, and then it's just about communicating the information to the team. I think afterwards we'll look back on it with memories, hopefully good ones, of this matchup. Regarding Sergino, you know, it goes really quickly like that at a professional level. You know, I remember when I was at Sparta, there was a player, some of you guys will know him, Q Yalins. I don't know if you know that name at all, right? And he was in the reserves at Sparta, And Jerry Smith got injured at right back, and he came in and played the whole rest of the year, went to Ajax the next year, played for the Dutch national team the next year. So like that's how quickly things go. And with Sergino, it's not surprising to see that. When you're a club like Ajax, there's a lot of attention on you, especially as a young player. And it's a very good club to develop players. So he did really well with Ajax. He went on to Barcelona. There was ups and downs there, but he battled his way through it. And now he's at AC Milan, 3 top clubs in 3-year succession. So he's doing a great job. I think most importantly, what I've seen from Sergino in this World Cup in particular is just him take it to another level with his mindset and his mentality. He's been fantastic for us this camp. I can't say enough about his defending in the penalty box, his ball security, everything has been really good. So we're really happy for him. And tomorrow, hopefully, he has a great game.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you all for being here today. See you tomorrow at